I'll go ahead and start with roll call. Todd?
And then to your left, we'll start down here.
Hello, John Van Sickle.
Jessica Friedrichs.
Homer, City Council Liaison.
Brian Schwan.
Andrew Jarvis. Scott Bonebrake.
Okay, thanks. We'll go ahead and start with the review of the January 6th meeting minutes. If there are any comments or clarifications, everybody reviewed them? Any motions?
Mr. Executive Director, I move to approve the minutes from January 6, 2026.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Anything from the committee and staff tonight?
Nothing on the staff side, although we do want to point out you have two new committee members, Mr. Bonebrake and Mr. Van Sickle, if they would like to introduce themselves to the committee and the world.
Okay. My name's John. I have been in construction all my working life and even earlier in childhood. I currently work for Ballman and Company. We do residential and commercial. So I guess, like I said, I'm honored that I'm finally in a position 25 years after school that experience matters, and I was asked to do this, and thank you all. So.
Welcome.
Scott Bonebrake, very similar situation. Been in construction pretty much my whole life. Currently a senior project manager for Key Construction out of Wichita. So live just down the street, very familiar with the area. So happy to be on board.
Great. Thank you both for
Welcome.
being on the committee, and welcome.
You may remember Scott from the other side of the bench.
Yeah.
On a couple projects.
I was going to say, I think we've seen you for,
Usually out there.
yeah. Have you done the site plan before on that side as far as construction goes or anything?
No.
Okay. Well, welcome, guys.
Okay, anything additional? Okay, I think that brings us to our first agenda item, which is the site plan for 420 West Mike Street. If we have an applicant here tonight that would like to
Yes, we do.
present.
So you all will recall that you tabled this item at the last meeting on staff's recommendation. Our recommendation has changed. We are now recommending approval with a few more modifications that we feel can be handled at the staff level. You'll see there are still some outstanding comments on these plans, which I've outlined briefly on my staff report there. For example, one of our requirements under the site plan regulations is that parking areas have to have a minimum 1 isofoot candle of illuminance across all parts. And the diagram shows a couple of spots, that one right there, that are below that amount. We have some concerns with some of the sewer lines on the western side still that Kevin and the applicant can discuss a little bit, as well as some with the parking lot landscaping, which we think there is ample room for, just not depicted that way on the plan. A couple of labeling things that also just need to be depicted, we feel. And as I said, we think that all the modifications that are presented are something that staff can handle. Don't make them come back in another month. And I'll let Kobe and Kevin continue.
Yeah, so we've gone through the comments. We've pretty much addressed most of it now. We're still working with staff to get the final things resolved, but other than that, we agree with all the staff comments, and I'll stand for any questions you guys have.
Mr. Chair, how did the driveway get handled? Wasn't there a concern about the driveway and turning around? Was that fire or was that Kevin?
Good evening, sir. Mike Roosevelt, Fire Marshal. We've had several discussions on the driveway status for this parcel, and we've come to the conclusion that it does meet the absolute bare minimums. We're very strongly recommending, maybe even so strong as to say requiring fire lane signage and enforcement along the east side of that roadway.
But otherwise, yes, you'll notice there's no orange comments on these plans. The orange would be Mike's comments for fire. So everything else has been addressed.
I was more curious to how we solved it as far as not seeing his comments on there. So that explains
The process comes down to measurement and exactly where you drop the pin to measure from point A to point B. And we've reached the conclusion that as we've addressed our alley parameters and where we begin measuring for alleys, applying that same logic to this, the distance for our hose stretch and the apparatus placement location meets the minimum 150, although the entire driveway is longer than 150. The operational position of an apparatus meets that 150 regime with our appropriate hose stretch capabilities.
Okay, so you sign off on it?
Correct, sir.
I did see the reduction of the proposed front yard setback from 25 feet to 20 feet. Is staff,
Yeah, they have gotten their application for the variance in. That's not something you all can give relief from. That's a zoning regulation. So that application is being processed. It'll go to the next available meeting.
okay. So generally, are you in support of that? Or is that just?
Haven't performed our full review yet. It seems like it's probably reasonable, but I can't really give our stance at this time.
And it's only the front yard setback though,
It'll be the front and the rear.
and the
Right,
rear as
the
well?
southern
Both have a
and the
25 foot
northern.
per zoning reg.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, so mostly that was part of the fire comments was to increase the spacing between buildings a little bit. I think originally we had them at 10 feet. I think we've pushed it to 12 foot. So because of that, we encroach on both the front and the rear a little bit now.
And that 12-foot keeps the requirement down for fire separation, right? That meets the code fire separation for 12 feet, okay. And if the sewer line, I think there was a comment, the sewer line, if it does move, is it able to stay within this property then, or would it be pushed?
The comment for the sewer was to see if there was a way to move it actually further into the site, a little closer to the buildings. That may require moving where the sanitary service goes into the structure, so you've got enough room for cleanouts. Best practice, I mean, you can have a clean out in concrete with a cap that seals, and it's great today. 5 years from now, things shift around, that seal may not be as tight. So our goal is to try to avoid stormwater runoff from running over the top of our cleanouts and increasing the likelihood we get rainwater in our sewer system, which try to avoid. So if there's space, our preference is to try to squeeze that sewer line. It's tight, but basically in between that concrete drainage swale and the buildings. I think there's room to do it. I don't know if you guys have looked at that.
Yeah, we have space to fit that line in. I need to talk with the owners on it just to make sure that moving that service location is fine. But we think we can make it work.
So I see a comment about on here, which was my question too, about the dumpster location. Is there a dumpster at the end of the drive aisle then?
So trash isn't fully figured out. There is proposed to be some sort of trash over there. The screening will just be wood fence screening. It's not going to be like a masonry enclosure or anything like that.
So will that have an impact on the fire clearances or allowances if that's at the end, or?
If I understand, the trash enclosure at the very end would not impact fire components at all.
The other item I can think of is we talked pretty extensively about the tree row right on the side of the property. Has that been studied in any more detail from your side?
I'm getting our surveys out there to kind of take a few more shots of that so we can figure out where the trunk line is and then what we can do to trim back. Looking through some of the initial survey, as you kind of go north on the property, the condition of those trees isn't great. So some of that may need to be replanted as part of this just to kind of neaten that line up a little bit. But the concern about it killing any of the trees, I don't think we'll have any issues with that.
It's a hedgerow, right?
Yep.
Toby, did you guys look at the landscape? The interior right now, it's a little bit short on square footage. It's overparked, so I think for you guys, would we lose the space to add the landscaping, or is there a request for a variance on reduced interior landscaping?
So we would like to keep more parking is better for these, especially for these, per code, it's adequate parking. But when you have these kind of tenant buildings, people have guests and stuff. So we'd like to have more parking. If we can ask for a variance, that would be preferred. But if needed, we can add an island there in the middle, kind of where it's proposed. I think we would actually go one stall over. But we can put some green space in there if we needed.
That is something you all have the power to grant. To be clear, it's not a variance. That's a specific thing. It's a relief from the site plan regulations.
Right, you may remember that the requirements are for a landscaping aisle if there are more than 15 spaces. In this case, they were proposing 18.
So what about the requirement on the hedgerow side if they do end up losing some out of that hedgerow? I mean, hedgerows, obviously, if you're just going by quantity, right, that would be over the minimum. But if they do end up getting into them and need to remove some that aren't in good shape or just because of the encroachment, is there a requirement to replant those or?
There's a requirement for like number of screening trees, for example, which they do have to have screening with the golf course there. Again, you all can give relief from that number of trees. The hedgerow as it exists is obviously more number of trees than they're required to have.
Right.
Right. And in this case, there is no screening buffering required between the golf course and this project because it's residential to residential.
In this case of the parking lot, it would only be then shrubbery in an island.
Right. Some kind of smaller plants in a little parking lot island that would replace one of the existing spaces is what we would assume it would look like.
I think others can weigh in. I don't necessarily feel like there's a great need to add that to reduce the parking in this particular instance. So,
And I mean, if we're all being honest, they're not gonna, put a sprinkler system out there for that little island.
Yeah.
So you're gonna put shrubs out there, let it pass, and then you'll let those shrubs pass away because no one's gonna be taking care of them anyway. So I don't see a need to put an island out there of
Yeah.
shrubs, but. Maybe you could throw another tree out front or something, help balance it out.
any other general comments? Everybody?
I think I'm good. Do we need to, if we so choose to make a motion, do we need to go ahead and say the outstanding comments, or will this be public and we can just use these comments in here?
I think that if you phrased it as implement outstanding staff comment, that would be fine.
Perfect. Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve with conditions outlined by staff, the site plan for duplexes at 420 West Mike Street, with the condition that the outstanding comments be approved by staff.
Second.
So I think with that,
Hold on, I think there's a question.
oh, okay.
Is there a question, Julie?
We do have a comment from the fire marshal. Yes.
Gentlemen, I apologize. The condition of the stairs, we did receive some data as asked by the applicants. They provided some information showing that the stairs would be a Class B flame spread material as opposed to non-combustible, which I believe is where we found the code needed to align with, that the stairs themselves It needed to be a non-combustible construction, and this is rated with the documentation that they provided as a Class B, which is a moderate flame spread category. I think we had an existing comment that those should be non-combustible. I just want to make sure that we maintain that for the safety of the upstairs occupants.
And the way we're wording it here, it won't be approved until staff has given the okay after
correct.
anyway. So
Yeah.
you could lump that in with that, correct?
Okay, any other discussion or any other clarification needed from our side? I think we've said we're okay with the no additional landscaping on the interior side, so. Okay.
There's a motion and a second.
Motion
You want to
second.
vote?
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're ready for the second agenda item, which is the sign plan at 400 South Heritage Way, Suite 300. For Urban Nails, do we have an applicant?
We sure do. This is a pretty simple wall sign that you guys see with some regularity for the tenant finish for Urban Nails over a couple of spaces there in the sky lofts. This would not even come close to the maximum wall coverage because it would take a truly tremendous amount of wall signage to reach the maximum amount of wall coverage on this building. As you can see, it is to be internally lit in the evening, very similarly to many other wall signs.
Is the circle part supposed to be lit or is that?
It is halo lit, which
Okay.
is onto the wall. I don't know why it went two different directions, but that's what the customer wanted.
And has this already been through the covenants of the development as well then at this point? Or do they have any specific requirements there that you know of? Okay,
No, I think it's been looked at by the developer and it's a lot like the rest of the signs that are on the building.
sure.
I don't believe they have any specific requirements for the design of wall signs.
Got it.
out there.
Okay.
No, I thought they had specific parameters or whatever. But I would assume that it doesn't come to us until it's after already been passed through them.
It would have to be approved by them as well. We can't enforce their covenants, but it's
Yeah.
I don't know if they actually have a standard. They just want approval.
I think it'll look pretty cool at night.
Yeah.
There in the Heritage. I think it's,
Mhm.
it'll probably be nice for the tenants with, the Skylofts or whatever to be able to get their nails done downstairs, and then just walk back up. I mean, and then just add another business to the Heritage. I think it's pretty cool. So,
Yeah, looks good. Any other comments or discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the sign plan for the Urban Nails generally located at 400 South Heritage Way, Suite 300.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those, same sign. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the last case we have is the sign plan at 540 North Andover Road for Shelter Insurance. I do not see any other applicants, so.
We were supposed to have two to show. Well, no matter. This sign is not even a new sign, actually. The Shelter Insurance has moved their office, and so they would like to take their wall sign with them. They were already in a tenant space in a multi-tenant retail structure, and they're moving to a new tenant space in a multi-tenant retail structure. The new one is a significantly larger building, the Andover Plaza, so the wall to be covered there is extremely large. The sign is internally lit already, and it will continue to be so in the new location.
And there's no representative here for this one?
And we spoke to him about it too.
Typically, Mr. Chair, my only question is If the back of the building was already existing with a sign and it was faded, they would redo it. But this Andover Plaza recently went over a whole paint change.
See
and
it
that-
in one of the
Yeah,
pictures
that
there.
concept, it looks really good there on the Central and Andover Road. And being we've already approved this sign on another building, I don't see why we wouldn't approve it on this one.
Okay, any motions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the sign plan, even though the representative is not here, for Shelter Insurance generally located at 540 North Andover Road.
I'll second. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, great, awesome. All right. I think we're ready to adjourn unless anybody has anything else. Okay, great, thanks, everybody.
Easy peasy.
You do need a motion to adjourn.
Oh.
Sorry, okay,
Motion to adjourn.
seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Todd?
Skip steps.
I'm not gonna ask.